He was on set filming, and there was one stuntman in particular who was giving him a really hard time.
During the filming of Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee was frequently challenged by some of the extras on the set while they were filming the courtyard scenes on Hans Island. In another video, I talked about some of Bruce Lee's real fights and challenges while filming Enter the Dragon that were witnessed by his wife Linda, actors Bob Wall and John Saxon, and people on the production team like Madalena and Fred Weintraub. Well, it turns out that there's someone else who has a story about how Bruce was challenged to a real fight on the set of Enter the Dragon.
And he said, "You want to challenge me? You want to see if I can really do martial arts or not?"
In the interview where Linda talks about the fight that she witnessed, she said that Bruce was all about having the family visit the set. Now, if anything happened, Shannon Lee would have probably been about 3 years old. So whatever happened, she probably heard about it in a story when she was old enough to remember it. Well, Shannon's story is very similar to the stories that other people have told, where some of the extras were heckling Bruce Lee and questioning if he's really a martial artist or if he's just pretending to be one for the movies.
There was one extra on the set who I guess thought he would just see if Bruce was really a martial artist or was just an actor who was faking it.
You're not really a martial artist. You're just faking it. You're just making it look like you're able to do martial arts, but you're not really a martial artist.
In Shannon's story, there was this one guy who was the ringleader calling Bruce Lee a paper tiger, and this guy got some of the other extras to join in and giving Bruce a hard time. So Bruce had to deal with things before they got out of hand because, well, he couldn't have half the extras calling him a paper tiger and a fake martial artist when he needed them to listen to him for the big fight scenes that were going to be at the end of the movie. So in Shannon's story, Bruce Lee calls the ringleader over and asks him if he really wants to find out if Bruce really knows martial arts or if he's just a paper tiger faking it for the cameras. Well, the two of them get into it, and within seconds, Bruce has this guy on the ground. He stands him up, and then Bruce takes the guy to the ground all over again. Shannon said that it was like 2 moves to get this guy to the ground each time, and it happened in a matter of seconds. Now, after Bruce stood the guy up again, the guy kind of looks like he just effed around and found out, but the rest of the stunt crew started to respect Bruce after that particular dust up on the set. Now, when I first heard Shannon's story, I had some questions about when or if this even happened. There's quite a few fabricated stories that have been known to come from the Bruce Lee estate, where it's like Linda or even Shannon will say something about Bruce, but when I start looking into the details, sometimes things don't match up. A few examples of that is like how everyone thinks that Bruce Lee started learning Tai Chi from his father and that he started Wing Chun at 13, and then all the details around the Wong Jack Man fight, and then the result of that fight being the creation of Jeet Kune Do. Now, some of that stuff I've questioned in other videos and talked about it, and the Wong Jack Man stuff, well, you have to stay tuned for when I dive into the details in an upcoming video. But my point is, I don't necessarily believe everything that Bruce Lee's family says. This particular story, Shannon Lee says happened in 1972 or 73 when she was 3 years old. And it sounds like the same story that Linda witnessed, but it also sounds similar to one of the stories that Bob Wall told. I mean, there's a picture of Bob sitting with Bruce and Linda on the tennis courts that were used for those courtyard scenes. So maybe Bob and Linda both witnessed the same fight, and this is the story that Shannon's telling. Now, in Shannon's interview, she says there were other challenges, and there are other stories about fights and challenges that happen out there on the tennis courts. So I'm inclined to believe that there is some truth to this particular story. One of the things that I see in the comments of these kinds of videos are these same kinds of people who feel the need to constantly criticize Bruce Lee. They like to say, well, this doesn't prove Bruce was an invincible fighter. It sounds like this guy Bruce B couldn't even fight. And I mean, you can tell something about the people who constantly leave those kinds of comments. Like, I mean, first of all, if you don't like Bruce Lee, well, why do you watch every Bruce Lee video and leave these types of comments like you're looking for an argument with me and everyone else? And as far as looking for an argument, yo man, what's up with the straw man? I mean, I've never said that Bruce Lee is some invincible fighter. And I've never even said that Bruce Lee is the greatest martial artist of all time, because I don't think that. I have a video where I talk real about what I think about Bruce Lee and his accomplishments. So some of y'all need to chill with this stuff. The whole point of sharing stories about Bruce Lee's real fights and challenges is just to show that, hey, maybe this guy really did know some stuff. I mean, like, why is it okay for Chuck Norris, Joe Louis to go around saying, oh yeah, Bruce never sparred with anybody. He wasn't a fighter like us. But then it's not okay to point out that Bruce went to Hong Kong and became the biggest star there. He tries to make a big movie where he intends to change the movie industry in Hong Kong and bring some of those guys with him back to Hollywood. But he's getting challenged to fights by low-level gang members and thugs on the set. There are even people trying to make a name for themselves by issuing challenges to fight Bruce Lee in the newspapers. I mean, I never heard of Chuck Norris having to fight anyone on the set of Walker, Texas Ranger. And Joe Louis did a remake of Enter the Dragon, and it flopped. The only people who probably know about it are some of you guys over 60 who watch all of my videos, and I appreciate you guys. But did you guys hear anything about extras trying to fight Joe Louis while he was making that Jaguar Lives movie? So Bruce had to deal with some crazy stuff that none of those guys had to face, and it's just part of his story. And all I want to do is share some interesting things about Bruce, even the things that aren't so cool, like his drug use. And I mean, notice that Beardy and the Bruce Lee Real Fight channel still haven't said anything about the Bob Baker drug letters. So Bruce Lee, he had some scraps while he was making Enter the Dragon. Does it prove that he was an invincible fighter? I mean, well, Bruce never claimed to be invincible. And the truth is, the promotions around Enter the Dragon after Bruce was dead were responsible for that image of Bruce Lee. The truth is that Bruce was this dude who had some wins and he took some L's. This particular situation, he came out on top. And Extra talked smack about him, and Bruce apparently took him down twice with only a few movements. The fact that Shannon is the one telling this story means that it's become part of the official story about the life and times of Bruce Lee as told by his estate and his family. For me, it's just another interesting story about one of Bruce Lee's real fights and challenges. Now, if you want to hear more stories about Bruce being challenged on the set of Enter the Dragon, you can check out this video about at least 3 other times that Bruce was challenged. And stay tuned for more in this series, because I still have to talk about Bruce and Vic more, and that's before I can start to dive into the Wong Jack Man stuff, because stuff I'm going to say about him and Vic Moore sets up that fight. While you wait on more of these Bruce Lee Real Fight and Challenge videos, make sure to keep training, remember to breathe, and I'll see you on the next video.